Welcome to another episode of Comedy Wham Presents The Past with me, your host Valerie, and sometime co-host Miss Purrington. ComedyWham.com is your place to go for features about all Austin comedy. We started this podcast earlier this year. We love interviewing funny people and sharing their stories. We'll be bringing you articles and podcasts featuring the best in Austin comedy in all its shapes and formats. I like doing these interviews in two parts, the past and the current. Consider these bite-sized ways for you to get to know the folks that make the Austin comedy scene one of the best in the country. And now the past with our guest, Devon Walker.
Hey.
I'm so excited about this interview.
This is cool. This is only my second podcast I've ever done.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask what the other one was?
The other one was Joe Faina's podcast,
Oh, yeah.
Not a Fan, where I talked about sports.
Yeah.
So
What was the sport thing that you talked about?
We talked about my favorite basketball team, which is the San Antonio Spurs. We talked about them a lot. And we also talked about the Philadelphia Eagles, which is my favorite football team.
Oh, okay.
And he just talks to you about like how you became a fan of those teams.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
this is pretty much the same thing.
Okay.
Without the sports.
Okay. So a completely different thing. This is the same thing, except the format is different, and we're not talking about the same topics.
Yep, you got it. You're a quick learner.
That's funny. But I am excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm super excited because I'm just super excited. Let's just leave it at that. I got to start with my icebreaker question.
Okay.
Which is one word to describe your past.
Can we isolate a period of time in my past that we're talking about?
This is your...
Just my whole past, the last 20 plus years of my life.
Interpret the question however you want. It's like Play-Doh. Just do however you want to shape it.
One word to describe my past. Let's say exploration. I've done a lot. I like to try a lot of new things. I'm open to doing most things once.
That's good.
Yeah.
So you know that some things don't always work out, and so therefore, yeah.
A lot of stuff doesn't work out, honestly. A bunch of stuff doesn't work out.
Cool. Part of the reason that I'm excited is I saw you at Moon Tower.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first introduction to you at Moon Tower at Piranha, which is for anybody that's listening who for some reason doesn't know what the Austin comedy scene, Matt Bearden, who hosted the Retired Punch. See, she's talking a lot. Yes, I know you love Matt Bearden too.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
How can you not?
He created this concept of a game show that's kind of a Shark Tank. And what's the other thing that he says? It's a combination of Shark Tank and a game show? Or?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And so the concept is you have some comics, established comics are the judges, and then you have comics who perform some sets, and these judges will buy the jokes.
Yes.
And I had not seen Piranha before, so I didn't know too much about what the experience is going to be like. But one of the things that I loved your presence, because part of your presence, which I know I've noticed you don't stick with it as much anymore, is the George Strait T-shirt.
Right. Yes.
But also, again, not having seen other Piranhas, you were the only comic on that stage where they paid you to keep your jokes.
Yeah, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. That is, I felt really good about it because I made maybe the second most amount of money.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Kelsey Kane. She was in from New York. And I was like, yeah, I think I won the last one. I got some of the most money. She was like, oh, how many bits did you sell? I was like, none. They just paid me to keep my jokes. She was like, I don't think that's winning. I don't think it's winning when they don't want anything that you have. But no,
that's Kelsey being negative again. If you don't know Kelsey, go listen to her interview. She's fabulous.
Kelsey's great.
Yeah. But it was just part of it was, if you have not picked up on the audio, which is a terrible thing for an interviewer to say, you're black. Yeah. And part of...
Surprise! Hey!
I'm just nailing the awkwardness of interviewing, aren't I?
That's funny. You know, funny thing, my mother specifically told me one time, she was like, yeah, Devin, you know, if somebody was just talking to you like on the phone, they might not know you're black. So you might have to like let them. I was like, Mom, I got this from bullies for like 9 years. I don't need this from you, Mom. Denise.
Is she gonna listen?
My mom probably, if I show it to her.
Kick my ass.
I don't show my mom, like it's weird for my mom to see my comedy.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're gonna talk about today. So we'll see. Depending on what topics we cover, I'll show to my mom. She'll be excited about this.
Well, I don't want to leave on so hey everyone, Devin is black. Woo! No, the part of the reason why they didn't want to buy your jokes was because, well, you had the white pixie woman, and then you had the brash TV writer and voice actor, white.
Right.
And then you have Matt Bearden, white. Mike McRae, white.
Right.
It's like, well, we're paying you because your jokes are so good, and also we couldn't deliver them.
Right.
So
I've been talking to Matt about this. We got to get one black judge, but I feel like the only person who's qualified to do it is maybe Chris Cubis, and they can only get him to do so much. Maybe Maggie.
Yeah.
Maybe Maggie could do it.
Yeah. LaShonda
could do it. Yeah.
I hear Jimmy Roulette is coming out of retirement. I don't know if you've heard that name.
No, I don't know Jimmy
He's kind of
Roulette.
vaunted in Austin comedy lore.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think there's starting to be.
There's a couple. There's a handful.
Come on, Austin, get your
We gotta
together.
do better, Austin. It can't just be me and 2 other people. No, we counted one day. There's I think like 11 black comics that are really like going up pretty consistently.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I feel terrible because I don't think I can get to 11 counting.
Do you want me to do it?
Let's do it.
Okay, so you've got me, you've got LaShonda, Maggie, you've got Eric Nimmer.
Don't know him.
You've got Yusef Roach.
Oh, Yusef, duh.
Yeah, you've got this guy named Dwight Williams.
Don't know him.
You've got shit. I'm running out faster than I thought I was going to.
Are you going into the improv world at all?
No.
Okay.
Just stand up. Okay, you've got Aaron Cheatham.
Don't know him.
You've got Courtney Creighton.
Should we stop? This is terrible.
Hold on. There's a few
I can edit
more.
this out, too.
There's a few more that I'm missing. But but let's just call it between 8 and 10.
Okay.
Let's say that's the number. Those are the people I just mentioned, the people that I see pretty often.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting to the wrong shows apparently because I only knew half of that list. Okay, so I did.
Justin Hicks. Shout out to my boy Justin Hicks. He's also very funny.
Okay, cool. I started talking about you at Moon Tower, and a lot of times I start this conversation, this section of the podcast is talking about your past. You are fairly green to the comedy world. I'm pretty me green. Talking about you at Moon Tower, people might not realize, oh, well, shit, this kid's only been around, 2 months before Moon Tower?
I started, so in 2014, I did a couple of open mics. And none of them went well. I did 2 or 3, and I remember I had one bit about NPR that I might try to bring back now that but I had a bit about NPR, and it just didn't really have a punchline to it. I was still learning how to write jokes. I mean, I still am, but it just fell completely flat. My whole set was flat, and I was so excited about the NPR thing.
Yeah.
And after that, I didn't do comedy again for about 8 months. And that came up into July of last year. I had a girlfriend I was dating. She moved away. And then I had a lot of free time. So I said, let's give comedy another shot. So I've been just a little over a year. I've been seriously doing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's cool. Yeah. And then just being able to get on Moon Tower so quickly was meteoric.
That was really fun. That was purely Matt Bearden. Yeah. Matt Bearden is the reason I got to do that. Thank you forever to Matt Bearden because that was so fun.
Yeah. All right. So now let's properly rewind and talk about your exposure to comedy growing up. Were you watching, reading, listening to comedy? Was that something in your life?
Not a lot. Okay. Neither of my parents were very big into comedy, and both my parents are very religious people.
Okay.
So they wouldn't really let me watch anything that had a lot of swearing in it or a lot of sexual content, especially not my mother. My dad was gone doing business stuff a lot, so I was with my mom a bunch. The first person, I was just talking to my friend Nick Savarino about this recently, whereas the first person that I realized stand-up comedy can be something different Like it can be something a little off the beaten path. I remember being sick home from school when I was maybe like 12 or something, and seeing Maria Bamford on TV.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and just being like, wait, what? Like people can do that? And I don't know, that's oddly enough what made me interested in performing comedy. Like she was the first person that I remember seeing that wasn't like what I was used to. But
what was she doing? Because to me, she's just blown up in the last like 10 years.
I'd say she's blown up. I mean, but
maybe you're that young.
Yeah,
you're that young. Yeah.
Was, I don't know, that would have been like 2004 or something like that.
Okay.
2003.
But I know her from Target commercials, so I know she's got another life besides that.
Yeah,
so.
she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
She's been doing comedy for a long time. She's gotten really famous like recently. But yeah, she had like a half hour on Comedy Central that I remember seeing, and she's just doing the stuff where she just like goes into like her weird different voices.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like what? Oh, like I don't know. Yeah, and that was the first thing. That, and I watched a lot of Chris Rock when I was young. I grew up around a lot of Hispanic kids, so I definitely watched a lot of George Lopez as well. So yeah, that's where it started. The original Kings of Comedy, I remember seeing that when I was like 10, and just thinking those guys were hilarious.
Yeah. You've gone to all right. So you're watching this comedy, and you're just chugging along in life, and you've gone to school, and you've actually just reached kind of a cool landmark for yourself school-wise.
Yeah, just finished grad school.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
Thank you.
For anybody to get through grad school. But along the way, you're like, I want to try comedy.
Yeah.
So what was it that sparked you to give it a try? Oh, actually, I'm totally fucking up my interview. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening.
Whoops.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pflugerville.
Okay, so you're one of those.
I'm one of the
Austin,
rare kind of locals.
Okay.
It's interesting though, like growing up like in the suburbs like that, like you don't, like we didn't really come to Austin because like everything's out there, like everything's in Pflugerville and Round Rock. You never really have to go to Austin unless there's like a big concert or an event of some sort.
Yeah.
So like in a weird way, I feel like moving to Austin maybe about a year ago after I finished undergrad, or I guess about a year and a half ago, like I'm kind of just discovering a lot of things in the city for the first time in a weird way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty local.
Yeah. Okay. So it wasn't too bad that I screwed up and didn't ask that question.
No. Yeah. I grew up in Pflugerville. I was born in Washington State, and then we moved to Pflugerville, or we moved to South Austin when I was maybe 3, and then a year after that we moved to Pflugerville, and I grew up there all the way through K through 12.
Wow. All right. So now I can go back to that question. So what was it that prompted you to give comedy a try? You said you did a couple of open mics in
2014 in the fall.
So what got you there?
What got me to those mics? That's a great question.
Finally.
I think stand-up comedy was always something I wanted to give a shot.
Okay.
I think it was something, I think a lot of like people had told me that I was funny. I was definitely like the class clown, like growing up in high school. Like I always wanted to crack jokes at inopportune moments, and I was always just laughing all the time. So it's something I wanted to give a shot, but I think it wasn't until that point that I realized like, oh, like all you have to do is just go up. Just go up. Like they've got some open mics, and I went up at Cap. That was the only place that I really knew to look to do an open mic. I didn't know about like the Austin Comedy Last Gas website. I didn't know anything about that. That has everything. Right. So I just like searched like a comedy club. I found Cap, and I applied for it. The first one went as well as your first time on stage could go, where like I got a few chuckles. Yeah. And I want to say I went up one more time, and that second time was just no laughs for the entire performance. And then I got in a relationship, and so I was like really into that. Yeah. And then, like I said, once that girl moved away, and I just had all this time that I wasn't using, I was like, let me try this thing.
Well, it's interesting because your picture that you're painting with those first 2 open mics is it didn't really go all that well for you.
No, it did not.
And you're thinking, I got all this free time. Let me go beat myself up again in front of an audience.
Pretty much. Yeah, I guess it was like, I guess it was more so like, let me see if I can be better. Let me see if I like really devote time to this. I mean, because 2 mics doesn't mean anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have 2 bad mics in a night sometimes now. But like I think it was like I needed to have that experience where I did well. And I was fortunate to like, I don't know, maybe like 2 months in or so, like I started to have like some fairly good sets, and I started to do okay at mics.
So how was the first time when you got back on? Did you feel like, I'll keep with this?
I did a lot better. Because I think I'd been putting more time into like actually writing jokes and figuring out where the punchline is. I think I came up with that Six Flags bit like right before like.
It's so good.
That's one of my favorite bits, and it's right around that time, like within that first month, I'd gone to Six Flags with my little sister, and I came up with that, and I just had a handful of other things. I don't know, I just had more time to like write and develop my stuff, and it was better. It got better after my hiatus.
Good.
Yeah.
So the writing helps, and you're comfortable being on the stage. You know, I talk to a lot of people. Some of them come from speech and debate backgrounds where they're fine speaking in front of people. I haven't heard that part from you. So what about the element of being on a stage are you comfortable? No, not are you comfortable. Did you have any fears about being on a stage aside from the fact of I'm going to try to be this comedian?
Yeah.
Being on a stage.
It's still a little nerve-wracking. It was really bad. I used to have to like take shots. I used to have to like take 2 shots before I even got up on stage because I would be so nervous every time. But I don't know. Why do I enjoy being on stage? Is that the question?
Kind of. Or, did you have any fears about being on a stage? Clearly you did initially.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I was drinking shots to get you
I needed to.
there.
Like I absolutely had to, or I would just be petrified up there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think just as like a young kid, always wanting some attention on me. I think always just wanting some attention.
Yeah.
I think that's why kids are class clowns, because they want people to like look at them and pay attention to what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I was kind of sort of an only child. Me and my brothers and sisters are all really spaced out. So when I was in kindergarten, my older brother was a senior in high school.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I didn't really have any like brothers or sisters or anything. So my parents just kind of left me to my own devices. And I think I just wanted people to pay attention to what I was doing.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it.
It's just like breaking all my conventions of,
So?
There's some people that admit to being initially scared. And like I said, some people were like, I did speech and debate, so I was okay being on a stage. I don't think I've heard anybody say, I had to drink initially to get on stage. Now I'm cool with it. And then just the realization of if you write stuff that helps, it's just... Sorry, I paste different things together from what I'm hearing.
No speech and debate. I've never had a big problem. Like I always kind of liked presentations. Like for school, like I never had an issue with it. I would go up. I think in a weird way, like I'm kind of an introverted person, but I sort of like everybody to be looking at me in a weird way. I think I saw Duncan Carson had a tweet about that, and he was like, I'm an introvert except for when I'm on stage with a microphone with like 100 people looking at me or something like that.
I know people who are comics relate to that because on a stage they have total control of a situation, and a lot of times, and I've experienced this. If you're on a stage, you're not really necessarily looking at people and making connections. Like there's this whole thing. If you're doing speeches, you just look at the space above people's heads.
Right.
That way, you're not really
looking.
You make them think that you're looking at them, but you're really not, and that helps get you through that stage anxiety if you have it. So if you're an introvert, then it's kind of like, I'm just in control. I'm just talking. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think one of my favorite things about performing stand-up is that, like, you don't have to be right. Like, you don't have to be right. Like, you can tell your version of, like, what happened in a certain situation. Like, you can say really anything. Yeah. And as long as it's funny. And I like being able to kind of being in control of the whole experience. I think that's part of it.
Yeah. Do you realize how spoiled you are with the Austin scene and being just discovering comedy and being good at comedy and being in this amazing scene?
Yeah, I think I've been really fortunate. Yeah. I think I've been really, really fortunate. Like you said, that Moon Tower thing was huge, and I have gotten some opportunities. I think pretty early on that. Yeah. It's been crazy. Yeah. But I'm really excited about it. This is a thing that I love. It's really my favorite thing to do. Yeah. So I think I'm fortunate that I've gotten to do some of the stuff that I've gotten to do.
Yeah. So now I'm going to flip and challenge. But you have this master's degree.
I do.
And can you tell us what your master's is in, or do you?
Yeah, okay. I can. My master's degree is in organizational development. which is a thing that nobody knows what it is. So don't feel weird if you don't know what it is, because nobody does.
Yeah.
It's really just kind of the combination. It's kind of applying like psychology to like to business principles. So a lot of stuff is about like process improvement. So say I come in from an outside organization and I go to a company and a company says, okay, we want to be better at X, Y, and Z. We need to improve this thing. We need to improve our employee performance evaluation or whatever it might be. We have this issue. We don't know how to fix it. And so people who do what we do in our majors, like we go in and we figure out, we research about the problem, and then we present a solution, and then we implement that solution.
Okay. So
yeah.
Six Sigma, is this the realm of Six Sigma?
Mm-hmm.
All right. This is as far as my qualifications.
Yeah, no, that came up. But also, full disclaimer, I was a horrible graduate student. I was a really bad. Like, I mean, I did well enough to graduate, obviously, but especially once I got into comedy, which was, I guess, about a year in. I dove pretty much headfirst into comedy and stopped paying as much attention as I should have to my readings and stuff, because I'm trying to go to open mics. I'm trying to do shows. Some days I would skip class just to go do a show, just because that's kind of where my focus started to be. And I was in school with a lot of overachievers who were trying to make sure they got hundreds. I was trying to get whatever grade I needed to keep going to the next class.
All right, so you've kind of answered where I was headed. Mm-hmm. I can now ask, with what you've just said, which one is it going to be?
Oh man, the stuff that I was studying in school, that is plan B. That's plan B. I mean, comedy is certainly plan A. I'm going to just try to take that as far as I can. But I think I'm fortunate in the fact that I have this degree, so I'll be able to get a decent job. I shouldn't have to worry about supporting myself or anything like that. Yeah. So I've got that, and in the event that I accidentally have a child or something like that, I'll be able to. Yeah, it happens. It happens. In the event that there's an accidental baby, I'll be able to support that child and stuff. So that's
okay. Hey, everybody, just be aware. There might be an accidental baby out there, and
it happens.
I know.
You're looking at one. Oh. This is what an accidental baby looks and sounds like, people. This guy.
Oh, that's right, because you had the older brother that's a senior.
Yeah, my older brother's 12 years older than me.
Yeah, that's an accident.
Well,
not an accident.
No, it was
a surprise. It was a surprise baby.
That's the way my mom will try to frame it. My dad will straight up tell me, be like, "Yeah, we were not trying to do that." My parents had just been dating for some months. I don't even know how long, but not very long. They weren't even very serious. And then my mom got pregnant, and then they got married. Which is, don't get married that way, because that's not the right way to do it.
It's like a memento episode of my podcast. We're just working back.
Just working our way back into my infancy.
So what was your first teddy bear?
Nah.
No. All right. So clearly your plan A is comedy. That's where you're happiest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Man.
Yeah, hopefully in 20 years I'm not at a desk still. I work at a desk now, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. Why don't we wrap on this question? Because this has come up a couple of times when I've talked to comics that have the day job, but they love comedy and everything that it brings to them. Mm-hmm. At what point, or maybe the question is this, and actually it's funny you should mention, I don't remember if this was on mic or not, but you mentioned being on Joe Feina's podcast. Mm-hmm. And he and I had this conversation because he's obviously successful in his professional endeavor, but he loves being a comic.
Right.
Is there something that holds you back from just cutting the cord of that day job and saying, if comedy is where I want to be, then I should just go all in?
Oh, is there something that's holding me back from just quitting my job?
Yeah.
Money, baby.
Okay. Well,
I gotta pay those bills.
Right.
I got student loan debt that's about to come back at me. I got a car payment. I got rents.
Yeah,
I gotta buy stupid clothes. I gotta buy this watch. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I don't really. Yeah. I mean, my dad was really, really helpful in helping to support me up until I was maybe 20, my first few years of college. Mm-hmm. But I mean, understandably so. He's just all right, man, you gotta go strike out on your own, go figure it out. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, financially, I'm not in a spot where I just cannot work.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so I'm probably a ways out from being able to cut that cord. But hopefully, that's the real dream.
Right.
The real dream is to not have a job
Yeah.
anymore.
Right.
So that's what I'm striving towards.
Yeah. Cool. All right. We're going to close on that, and then we'll tease all the cool stuff you're up to today, and we'll probably do more of this therapy talk that I love to do.
Okay.
That is a wrap on Comedy Wham Presents The Past with our guest, Devon Walker. Tell us where we can find you on social media, internet, wherever.
Social media, Facebook, just my name, Devon, Devon, last name Walker. On Twitter, my name is Internet Devon. And on Instagram, I'm also at Internet Devon. So you can find me at all those places. Facebook is where I post the majority of my shows.
Okay. Listen to part 2 for more information about what Devon is up to today. You've been listening to Comedy Wham Presents The Past, hosted by me, Valerie. Be sure to visit comedywham.com and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at ComedyWham. I'm Valerie, and that's been funny. Thank you, Devon.
Hey.